Gluten-free, dairy-free, egg allergies, potato allergies, all of these things are really common. So what happens when you come to New Zealand with these allergies? Are you just going to be faced with nothing to eat? Are you going to be able to go to a cafe and get what you want? Are you going to get ill? So have you ever been in a restaurant in New Zealand where you thought, they're just saying there is no gluten in it, but I bet there is, and you felt a little bit, oh.
But there was an incident where we went out to eat.
Today, I'm going to talk to my friend Jen from the YouTube channel 1,000 Words and find out exactly what it's like to live in New Zealand with allergies. It's a Drama, coming to you from Taranaki, New Zealand.
Hello.
Daddy, I love him!
Mother thanks you.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
So welcome, Jen. So excited to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I've just been waiting to get you back for so long, and literally we've been backwards and forwards, haven't we? Like, when are you coming back? So
Yeah.
I'm just really happy that you've given up your time to sit and chat with me today
Always happy here.
about New Zealand food and allergies, and whether New Zealand food is healthier and helps those allergies. Now, hands up, I've got to say, I know very little about this subject, but you, my girl, are an expert, aren't you?
An expert. Well, we all eat, but I have quite a tricky diet because I have an autoimmune disease that I developed after moving to New Zealand. And it's Hashimoto's. And for some people, they get diagnosed, they take medication and they're fine. But I'm not one of those lucky people. And there's been some other complications, including food intolerances. So I don't eat gluten, dairy, corn and potatoes, which is tricky.
Wow,
It is tricky
yeah.
because if you don't eat gluten, you can get gluten-free products. They almost always have corn and or potatoes in. So that makes
hang
it a
on,
bit
you
more
don't eat
complicated.
gluten, corn, dairy, any dairy at all?
No dairy, no.
What's the other one? And
Potatoes.
why potato? What? How do you
All of these things make me really sick.
do they?
Yeah, so I'm not celiac. So if there are traces of gluten in something, that's okay. But if I have gluten, it will make me sick and I can be
Right.
down and out for a week. So I have to be really careful.
Yeah.
But I enjoy my food and I don't not get to eat here, even eating out.
And that's
So,
the exciting thing we're going to
Yeah.
jump into is like if you're moving to New Zealand or even if you're already living in New Zealand, wherever you are, it's just that we get so many questions on our chats. If you're not familiar, Jen's got a Facebook group, Moving to New Zealand Facebook group, and we've got our free Moving to New Zealand video guide. And, we get a lot of questions in both of those places come up all the time. Look, I'm gluten-free, I'm dairy-free. How is New Zealand going to, how am I going to be able to eat? Am I going to be able to go to a cafe? It's a good question, isn't it?
Even if you don't have dietary restrictions, you eat. Everybody eats every day.
Yeah.
And also if you're moving over with kids, food's going to be different. How are they going to make the transition and what are your options? And, if you go to the supermarket, what's the food like? Because everybody has to eat.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get into this topic. I really am excited. First of all, I want to know, so you came from South Africa and then you went to the UK and then you came to New Zealand.
Yeah.
But you only discovered that you had these food allergies once you get to New Zealand, is that right?
Yeah, I became really ill 2 years after we moved here.
Right.
And then that came as a result of it. But it's actually really, really common to develop food allergies after immigrating.
Why?
There's quite a high percentage. Well, if you think about it, everything that you put into your body has changed. The air, the water, the food, everything is different. And for some people, that can trigger a food allergy.
Right.
My cousin moved from South Africa to England and then later developed an allergy to cinnamon. Like, it's bizarre. Or you may develop hay fever that you've never had before.
Yeah,
so
I've
it is
heard
quite
that,
common, something to be aware of. It's not definitely going to happen to everybody, but if it does happen, just be aware that it's a thing.
And also, on the flip side, that we will talk about this in a minute, on the flip side, you've got people who've moved to New Zealand, they've had severe allergies, and then once they get to New Zealand, ta-da, gone.
Yeah, not an allergy, but my
Okay.
son Noah had asthma
Oh, right, sorry, yeah.
in England, and we moved here when he was 6, and I was concerned because people say that asthma can be quite bad here, and the damp winters and whatever, and he had no asthma since moving here.
Really?
So we kind of went the
Fresh
other way,
green
so
air,
that's
isn't it?
good. Yeah, yeah, it seemed to suit him. Yeah.
Okay, you won't have your allergies, but you, young lady, you can't eat corn, you can't eat milk.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
So when did you? So you came to New Zealand, and how did you discover that you had these allergies? What does suddenly you just started getting? How did
Well,
that happen?
it's quite a long story, which I won't go into, but
Oh, go on, love. We've got all day.
we don't. I had a bit of a health crisis, and as a result, one of the things that developed was this autoimmune disease, and I was getting treatment, and I wasn't fully well. I just felt like I was still managing it and dealing with symptoms. So I decided to do the autoimmune protocol, which is, it's kind of like the paleo diet, minus anything that might bring you joy in it. So
What's the paleo diet? I don't know what that is.
paleo diet is pretty much how I eat now. It's no grains, no dairy, no corn, no potatoes. So it suits my diet. It's kind of, the theory is that it's based on what we used to eat in Paleolithic times.
Right.
So I mean, regardless of that, I eat the listen to your body diet.
Right.
So,
is it a bit like the Atkins diet? Do you remember the Atkins
diet?
No,
that's kind of keto now. They've just rebranded.
There's too many names.
I know.
Isn't there?
That's why I do the listen to your body diet. I don't do the someone told me to eat this diet. So I did AIP, which is super strict. I have some videos on my channel about it if that suits anybody. It's super strict, and you eliminate anything that might be a problem, and it gives your body a time to heal from the inflammation, eliminate the things that are bothering you, and then one by one you slowly reintroduce them, and you see what do I have a reaction to. So if you think of when you're weaning a baby, you give them a food, you wait a while to see if they have a reaction, because it might not happen immediately. And from that, I could reintroduce certain things, and I could learn which things I couldn't reintroduce because I had such a bad reaction to it. So that's how I came about understanding what I can and can't eat.
Right.
Is that it just makes me sick.
Okay, so you just eliminated everything.
And I've become one of those people. And it is awkward, like if we're eating out, you know, the waitress comes around and I have to be like, I'm one of those people, you know, is this gluten-free or can this be made gluten-free or dairy-free? And it's awkward, but it can be done. Like I eat out sometimes. I don't eat out a lot, but there are options. And I really appreciate when people put on the menu, they don't have to cater to me, but I just want to know if it does or doesn't have gluten or can be made gluten-free. So
a really interesting point that my daughter made, because she works in 3 cafes. She works in a restaurant and a diner and a French cafe in town. And she made a really interesting point that people will come in and they will say that, like, you know, oh, have you got this? Is it gluten-free? Is it dairy-free? And when they ask, the chefs have said to her, ask if it's what was it again?
An intolerance or an allergy.
Yeah. Or if it's a preference. Like if you're just doing it because, I don't know, like, you know, you just want to cut out.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to be gluten-free, or I prefer to be, whereas for me, I have to be.
Yes.
But not as much as a celiac person has to be.
What does celiac mean?
Celiac is a more severe gluten allergy. I don't want to talk out of turn. I'm not super educated on it, but I understand that it's dangerous for them to eat gluten or things that are cross-contaminated.
Yeah.
Whereas if I have it, I'm going to be sick, but it's not going to be as, I won't have the consequences that a celiac person
What would happen if you just had a potato? If you ate a potato, what would happen?
Oh, I'm not going to go into all the signs and symptoms.
Go on, Jen.
For the most part,
bathroom and then what happens?
I'll be out. It will set off an autoimmune flare for the most part. Yeah, and that could be up to a week. It could be a couple of days that I'm down and out on the couch, unable to do anything. So.
This is a really personal question and totally off topic, just because I'm a nosy little bag. If you're having dinner, what do you have at night? What did you have for your dinner last night?
Last night, what did we have last night? We had steak, and I did frozen kumara chips, like sweet potato chips. So there are convenience products I can get. So like oven chips, but they sweet potato.
So you can eat potato, but just not sweet. You can eat sweet potato.
Sweet potato, but
that's handy.
Not regular potato. Yeah,
that's
and we
handy.
had cauliflower that I grew myself with that. So I generally cook from scratch.
It's healthy, that is, isn't it? Yeah, really healthy.
There are gluten-free pastas available that don't have corn in.
Yeah.
Like I have a quinoa rice pasta. I do stews, soups. You know, I feel like I cook pretty normal. Like if people come over, they don't think it's weird food.
No, I came to your house for lunch, and I wouldn't have even known that. You know, I was like, "Where's the potatoes?"
What did we have? We had salad.
Yeah,
tuna
you did like a lovely
with mayonnaise.
tuna salad. Yeah.
Crackers.
So none of that. I'm just going through my mind. None of that's got dairy in it, has it? And wheat, and because you did like crackers and things.
Yeah, rice crackers. Yeah.
It's fascinating, isn't it? What other people eat fascinates me. It really does.
Yeah, and it's something that most people wouldn't think about. You go out and you can order whatever you want.
Yeah.
So if I go out and I need to pick up takeaway, I'll get a salad at most places like Pita Pit or Subway. You can have it as a salad. Indian is quite good.
Is it?
Yeah, gluten-free. There are dairy-free options in
Yeah.
their curries. Sushi.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you can.
I mean,
yeah.
not just anything. They often put crumb things or cream cheese in the sushi here. So
Yeah.
I have to be careful which ones. But, I mean, there's options wherever you go. I don't think anybody moving to New Zealand with a gluten allergy has to worry.
No?
Especially if you don't have the added complications of corn and potato.
Yeah.
There's lots of gluten-free options.
Okay, here's an interesting thing. A lady who was in our private membership, she messaged me and said, this is really funny. Well, it's not funny. You know. So she messaged me and said her husband has got, was it an egg intolerant? Yeah, a serious egg allergy. And they're in America and they sit there and think about all the pies that are in New Zealand, you know, all our delicious pies we've got. And she'd watched that video me and Brian did a video when we went down the South Island. We had these pies and they were just divine. And she was watching it and she said, oh, you know, we desperately want to come to New Zealand and try these pies, but he's got an egg allergy. She said, so would I be able to eat them? So what I did, I phoned up the baker, the cafe, the pie shop down in the South Island in Blenheim. And I said, you know, this guy has got an egg allergy. Do you put egg wash on your pies? And she said, yes, we do. Apart from one, I think it was belly pork, they don't. She said, and it was really interesting because she said, if you came in and ordered like 12, make it worth their while, they could just like cater to, cater to them and just say, okay, we won't put egg wash in that. And then she went on to say, which I found really interesting, I'd like your opinion on this. She said, if you, hang on, let me get this right. She said, if you are like, to become like completely gluten-free or to say this is like a gluten-free product, you have to be certified and you have to pay for that certification. And she said, it's not cheap. It really isn't. She said, so what people tend to do is say may contain eggs, may contain...
To cover themselves.
Cover themselves. Yeah. Even though it's got, she said, our pies haven't got any peanuts in them, obviously, but we have to say may contain, or I think it was that she said, but something like along those lines, you know, which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, from what I've heard, if you are celiac and you're eating out, chances are there will be some kind of cross-contamination. Where, you know, like the chef is busy working with flour in the kitchen and there's flour particles in the air, or, you know, if you're super, super strict, I think you'll know that eating out is a risk. Yeah. And you'd have to take that chance, wouldn't you? Yeah. I remember when we lived in Whistler, we were over there working, and there was this guy, and he was allergic to tomatoes, and he just said, I cannot have any tomato on my plate, you know, and you know what it's like, you think, oh yeah, as if, like, you know, more like you just don't like, but it's terrible because, and this was like 20 years ago, no, more than that, 25 years ago, when you just... There's less awareness of
it. Yeah. And you thought back then, oh yeah, you're just being fussy. Anyway, we went out for lunch and he ordered this burger and he'd said, like, you know, there was no tomatoes. No, sir, no tomatoes. You know what Canadians are like, they're very customer orientated. Like, no, I can, you know, so totally make sure that there isn't any. Anyway, it comes to the table and on the side, bloody hell, I mean, how wrong can you get it? On the side of the plate there, little side salad, little slither of tomato in there. And this guy, he went berserk. He went absolutely mad. He's like, do you realise what a risk you are putting me under? You know, and I remember thinking, you know, that's a bit over the top. But actually, when you
it's
say
dangerous.
It is, yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where like you felt, you know, like a risk? Have you ever been in a restaurant in New Zealand where you thought, they're just saying there is no gluten in it, but I bet there is, and you felt a little bit, or have you always trusted them and thought?
I've usually trusted them, but there was an incident where we went out to eat. It was the second time at this particular restaurant, and I'd ordered this particular thing before. Most things come, especially the lower scale restaurants, the more chips on the side, you know, standard stuff. Yeah. I find the more expensive the restaurant, the more options that you'll have that's not just like with chips and potato. Yeah. And this was just like a pub dinner type of place. And the one thing on their menu that I knew didn't have potato was a pork belly with a kumara mash. And I had it there before and it was fine. And when we went to eat there, I asked the waitress, is this gluten and dairy free? And she said, I'll go and check for you. So I said, or if it could be made gluten and dairy free. Like if they normally put butter in the mash, just don't put butter in the mash.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So she said, I'll go and check for you. So she went to check, and then, she brought all the meals out. So I assumed, she'd checked that they made sure it wasn't. And I was really sick that week. And I was like, there was something in that.
Oh.
And that was disappointing because I'd specifically asked her to ensure it was gluten and dairy free.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's been a time that you're talking about where I've asked and I think they're just dismissing my concerns. I think there was maybe a miscommunication there or whatever the situation was, but I don't generally feel like, I can't trust them. Because otherwise you just wouldn't eat out.
No.
I went to the Indian place we normally go to. As we're leaving, I got their takeout menu and I said, can you just show me which ones are dairy free? Because a lot of them, they put cream into the curries.
Yes.
So he kind of marked all the ones. So now I know which ones to order.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be that person at the table going, special needs when the waitress comes around.
Yeah. But you find, I certainly, no one in our family has got any tolerances, so it's not like I can comment on this, but I'm talking to my daughter, like she's a waitress, and I said to her, I said, be honest. I said, when people come in and go, I'm gluten, I'm this, I'm that, I said, what's the general feeling in the kitchen? Tell me the truth. I said,
I want to know.
Yeah. I said, do you go into the kitchen and go, oh, by the way, this person is no. And they go, oh, for God, no.
Yeah.
I said, or are they genuinely, accommodating? She said they're genuine. And she'd tell the truth. They're genuinely accommodating.
Oh, that's good to know. I think it is more common now. And I think more people have experience or know somebody who has problems with food and, can understand it's not just somebody being precious. It is actually something that affects them. So
yeah. Oh, it's an interesting topic, isn't it? And so the other thing that I was dying to know as well, and someone actually mentioned this because they know you and they know where you live. You live in a small,
really small town.
Very small town in New Plymouth.
South Taranaki.
In South Taranaki. Yeah. How easy is that? It's all very well going to the big cities and la-di-da-ing it down in New Plymouth.
All kinds of options. Yes. Do you mean in terms of eating out or supermarket groceries?
Well, both. Well, how do you cope?
I have all the options I need.
Do you?
And I find that there's more and more products becoming available. And so there's a brand of paleo bread, and I know I can eat that. And they were consistently out of stock at my supermarket. So there's obviously a demand for it, either that or they're way under ordering. But I just went onto that brand's website and I ordered direct from them on a subscription. So once a month, here's your delivery of bread, put it in the freezer, and I don't have to worry about it. So I find a lot of brands do that. We get our Avos on subscription. Take 2 Avos, call me in the morning. We get our Avos on subscription. My paleo bread, you can get hot sauce, you can get, if you have a favorite brand, go on their website. You can, chances are, just get them to deliver straight.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic to know that. And what about eating out? How do you go on when you go down the local chippy?
We don't have a huge number of choices in our area, but there's 2 Indian places. There is like the pub place. There are options.
Yeah.
When we go out, there's one restaurant we'll go to. I'll order a steak, which normally comes with chips or baked potato and steamed veg or salad. And I'll just ask for the steak with the salad and steamed veg. Yeah. And they're quite accommodating.
Yeah.
So, there's things like that. There's options.
Yeah. That's good to know. Yeah. That's really good to know. What was I just going to say? Oh, yeah, this is what I wanted to ask you. So I wanted to read out...
Is this from the group?
Yes, this is actually from your Facebook group. Yeah, so like I say, Jen's Facebook group, Moving to New Zealand, go and check it out. It's brilliant. But she just said, basically, we were strictly GMO free in the US. What does that mean?
That's genetically modified. So that's not allowed in New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
Genetically modified product. So if you're trying to avoid GMO and you move here, you're lucky because you're not going to be able to get it.
Brilliant.
That's not to guarantee that ingredients bought from overseas and used in the manufacture of products are not GMO. But from what I understand, they need to declare that. But there's no GMO farming.
Is that where I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember this when we were living in England. Is it where they make all the apples big and rosy and
or more resistant to disease? They genetically modify that seed or strain of plant to be whatever, more productive, resistant to disease usually, resistant to pests. So,
and it's obviously not good for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
No, all right then, Jen.
But in my opinion, it's best avoided. And I know a lot of people are concerned about it. So whether or not it is, I haven't done all the like, scientific research into it, but
I'll just
it's
pretend
not
you know what
allowed
you're
yet.
talking about.
Don't we always?
Yeah, I'm an expert. And she says, but there is very little organic produce or meat in New Zealand, but it's because there isn't agribusinesses here to pump out low-quality food all over the supermarket shelves. We've been eating normal food here for months, and it's been a relief. The food is nutritious, and it doesn't have tons of chemicals in it.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to state on the beef, grass-fed beef, because all the beef is grass-fed.
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, it's not like a special thing that you need to seek out. So I feel like the standard of food is so high.
Me too.
The quality is good. There is a deficiency in magnesium. It was magnesium, I think zinc, and something else in the soil. So the food here tends to be deficient in that, and people tend to be deficient in that.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's,
Is
that's
that all
something you
over
can
New
supplement.
Zealand? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and women can be more prone to being deficient. Yeah, so
that's interesting. Yeah.
I wish I could remember the other one. I know it was magnesium, zinc, and something else. But anyway.
You can just take that as a supplement form, though, I suppose.
But yeah, I'd rather take a supplement than know that the chicken I'm eating is full of antibiotics, which they don't do here. They don't pump all the meat and animals full of things. So,
because someone asked me, they said, you know, how can you get organic meat in New Zealand? And I just thought, I mean, organic chicken, I've seen in the supermarkets organic chicken.
Yeah.
But I've never seen. Have you? Do
no,
they even
organic
have organic
foods.
Meat
I don't really have access to.
No.
I mean, if I wanted to go and get organic celery, I would have to really go looking for that. Like, I wouldn't be able to get that in the supermarket. There's not much.
No.
In terms of fresh meat and produce that's organic. But then I don't think there is a huge difference between organic and non-organic.
That's what
here.
I'm wondering.
Yeah.
And again,
it's just not the same.
No. And again, going back to that thing about the label, you know what the pie shop said? There used to be a lady who lived down the road from us. She's moved back to Germany now, but she owned a farm down in Germany, down the road.
Down in Germany, on the other side of the world.
And she had a farm, and she said, and she was super healthy, one of these, you know, really, really health conscious. Really healthy, and she had the farm, and she grew her own vegetables and things, and she would sell things on the side of the road, and she had some animals. I think she had a few cows and sheep and whatever, and she just said, we would love to be certified organic. She said, but the hoops, the cost, she said, and it's voluntary, that you have to jump through, she said, it is not worth it.
There are people who claim they'll say this is an organic product, but they're not certified because it's voluntary if you choose to be certified, and there are so many costs involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people will get a sheep or a calf and raise it for a year and then have it slaughtered and then fill their freezer, and they know that, you know, they know exactly what it's eating.
Exactly,
but,
that's right. Yeah.
I live in the middle of dairy farms, surrounded by dairy farms, and it's all like lush green grass, except in summer. So they will sometimes supplement with maize to the animals. I don't know, do they do that in summer? Because that's when the grass is all brown.
Yeah.
But in winter, there's just lush green grass everywhere, and that's what the cattle eat.
Yeah. And so that's that question about, and again, totally hands up, don't really know I don't know about this enough, but I remember reading somewhere that I think it was America, that they have cows that have never eaten they've never been in a field in their life.
Yeah, if you see, I mean, you can see documentaries and things online, there's just acres and acres and acres of bare soil, and these animals are standing. There's no greenery that they can eat. You know, they would have to go out of their way to raise it grass-fed. That's why they'll mention that it's grass-fed, because it's on these, you know, she mentioned big whatever.
Yeah, agribusiness here to pump out low quality food.
That's what it looks like.
We're very lucky, aren't we?
Yeah,
we really are.
You just don't have that in New Zealand.
No.
I remember moving here. This was before all of the, you know, dietary changes, when I could eat McDonald's. We came over to New Zealand. We went and had McDonald's, and we were all like, this tastes amazing. This tastes like beef. Because the McDonald's in England tastes like nothing.
Yeah.
And it just tasted like good food.
Yeah.
I mean, it's McDonald's. It's not great, but
yeah, you've got to have a Macca's every now and again, haven't you? Yeah. Nothing wrong with a bit of Macca's.
Yeah, but it just tasted different to the McDonald's in England.
Yeah.
Like, it tasted like real food.
And that's really interesting. You should say that, because someone else said, Another comment on one of the chats said, we arrived in New Zealand from the UK, and yes, the meat is more expensive, because they love going on about how expensive the food is in New Zealand compared to the UK.
New Zealand lamb is more expensive here than it is in England.
Really?
But
yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, the food is more expensive. He said, I think this was a guy who said, but the meat didn't shrink to half its size when it was cooked. No water came out when we were cooking the sausages, and they were packed full of meat, and next to no fat came out. And so basically, yes, it might be a little bit more expensive, but
that's beautiful.
Who cares? Because it's better, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is beautiful, isn't it? I'm glad you said that.
That's not the export quality stuff. This is the standard stuff that we're left with.
I'm really glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, is it just me? Because I remember when we came over here, and I think we had some belly pork or pork chops or something like that, and I remember thinking, God, this tastes good.
Yeah.
It tastes so good. And I was thinking, surely not. Like, how can it differ? But honestly, take our word for it. It is as well. Yeah. And I think and I've said this before on quite a few videos, I think the cafe food is much better, much higher standard. Someone on our group the other day said, no, the cafe food's better in the UK. I'm like, no.
Where have they been?
Excuse me, no. Yeah.
It's just, it's all down to all the ingredients as well. I used to have a cake business, and you can't get white icing. You can't make white buttercream here because the butter is so yellow. It's like the yolks of the eggs are so orange. That's the nutrition in it. That's
Yeah. Talking about eggs as well, someone said, got my list out here now. Someone said, the UK's idea of free-range eggs is New Zealand's idea of caged eggs. What do you think of that?
I haven't inspected egg farms here or there, so I can't comment. But
so hang on, he's saying our idea of free-range eggs in the UK is New Zealand's idea of caged.
So they're saying that in the UK they call it free-range, but they really don't have a lot of space to move around. And here, caged is not as caged as the UK.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't know, because I haven't seen a chicken farm either, but that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people around me have chickens. I can get eggs in my village, from somebody's chicken. And
our next door neighbour's got chickens, and I'll tell you what, they're always on our deck making a mess. I think he should be compensating us.
We used to have chickens and they poo everywhere.
Yeah, they're messy, aren't they?
Yeah.
But they're cute.
Yeah, they are cute.
They are cute,
They're so funny. Yeah. They make good pets.
What was I just going to say to you then? Because when you said something, I just thought, I just wanted to ask you about that. Oh, your cake business. I knew something had sparked my attention. A cake business?
Yeah, briefly after we moved here, before I became ill. Yeah.
Oh, before you came ill, yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do? Just make cakes and sell them?
Yeah, make cupcakes to order.
Oh, really?
Used to really enjoy
because
that.
you brought some cakes round to me last time you came, and they were absolutely delicious. Absolutely lovely. Yeah. Right, okay, so is there anything else that we haven't covered? Not the only thing, hang on, not only the things like fruit and veg have flavour, that you only get that if you grow yourself or pay higher prices for it, yeah?
I mean, tomatoes, if you buy tomatoes, they're never going to taste like a homegrown tomato. It's just that simple. But for the most part, carrots taste, everything's always going to taste better if it's freshly harvested from your own garden. I mean, there's no getting around that. But the produce, I think, like the carrots are big and they're crunchy, and they're not like, you can get some like insipid or dry carrots. Does that make sense?
Yes,
they're not juicy.
Yeah.
The carrots. Yeah, I remember moving here and seeing the banks of produce in the supermarket and thinking it just looks so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've no complaints. I mean,
me neither.
I have to cook from scratch. I rely on these basic ingredients and I've no complaints. I think the food here is really top notch. And
also just down the road, and this is becoming more common now, these little farm shops that you can get, like you can take your own glass bottle and fill up the milk, and that farm shop down the road from us, and I'm sorry, farm shop, I can't remember your name.
Great promo.
Yes, isn't it? You can rely on me. But I'll tell you what, your food, I'll tell you what, I'll find it out and put it in the description. Their food, their salad bags, their everything they sell is just like their rocket, like proper rocket should taste really peppery and really that irony taste. And you get it from there, and it doesn't say on the bag organic or anything. It's just, you just know it's come off the farm, so it's gonna taste. It's gonna taste great.
Top
so,
notch. Do you know what I like in supermarkets? What? Two things. When you go in, there's usually a basket of produce, like apples and bananas, and it's free for the kids. So if you have a child who's complaining while you're shopping, just give them a banana.
Yeah.
I really like that.
I do.
And I like they call it the odd bunch or the ugly bunch.
Yes.
They have different names. You can get a bag of vegetables that are kind of misshapen or they're not just going to go to waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll often take that I'll go and seek that out because you want to prevent food waste.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it tastes the same. Like maybe it's harder to peel if there's like, a forked carrot instead of a nice straight one, but it tastes the same.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I really like that they do that and they don't just throw it away because it doesn't look right.
I know. Yeah, me too. And also, just quickly, just to add as well, someone on our chat today put a picture of, she's just moved from America. Katie, actually, we did an interview with her and David a couple of weeks ago, but they've just moved from America, and she sent a picture and put it on the chat of some blueberries, fresh blueberries. And she was like, I was going to buy this and then I saw the price and they were like $11. That is so expensive.
Yeah.
But it's probably out of season, isn't it? It's probably not blueberry season, but.
Yeah, it's not blueberry season now. So they would have traveled pretty far.
Yeah. And that's why they were dear.
Yeah.
But the thing I said to her, which again, in the UK, if you didn't go, well, I didn't. I thought if you bought frozen fruit, like blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, you wouldn't do that. It's like, oh, I'm not buying frozen. I'll only eat fresh. I don't know if you're the same. But over here, like we buy frozen New Zealand blueberries. They're delicious. They're absolutely lovely. You would never know the difference. You take them out, defrost them, stick them in a smoothie, whatever.
Yeah.
I know you can't have him fresh, but at the end of the day, that's another thing I noticed about New Zealand food is like there isn't that, I want to say class distinction between frozen and fresh food. It was always, when we lived in the UK, it was always like, oh no, not frozen, you don't want frozen. But
it's not substandard, no.
No.
I find eating here is, especially fresh produce, well, in particular fresh produce, is very seasonal.
Yes.
You can get a cucumber in winter, but it's going to cost you about $6.
That's what I know.
Or you can get 2 for $2 in summer.
Yeah.
So you just tend to eat more seasonally, which I think is better for you anyway.
Yes. I agree, yeah. I love that. And when I first came, I was like, where's the tomatoes? Like, I want some tomatoes.
In the middle of winter.
Yeah, exactly. I know it's like, you get excited when it's avocado season. Like, when Christmas comes, like, oh, the strawberries are here. Like, and you get excited.
Yeah, get my cherries at Christmas time.
Yeah. And the other thing I love that the New Zealanders do as well is they'll get whatever is in season and they'll make a big batch of it and freeze it for the rest of the year, like,
Yeah.
Which again, it's like that old-fashioned way, isn't it? That's what my grandparents used to do.
I do bottle some things, but generally I can't be bothered. So we have an extra chest freezer. So I will plant 60 tomato plants in summer, and then I'll kind of cook and freeze in portions the tomatoes. So then I don't have to buy tin tomatoes, but
so you freeze your tomatoes then?
Yeah, so I'll grow the tomatoes when I'm harvesting a lot and it's more than we can eat in the summer. I'll just chop them up, chuck them in the crock pot, simmer them for the day, put them into containers, like 400 ml containers, and freeze them. So people tend to do that here, and I find people bake from scratch here. They don't really in England. And when you can, pick up a chocolate roll for 89p, why would you? But here, people, they'll whip up a slice for the kids' lunchboxes, and it's more of a thing here.
It is, and it is, and I absolutely love that. There's just, again, I don't want to keep saying it's an old-fashioned tradition, but it is. It feels more like old-fashioned, values sort of thing. Like that's what you did, and there was no waste. I've got hand on heart. I'm rubbish at. I'm not good at leftovers. Some people.
I love leftovers. It means I don't have to cook again.
Yeah, but I never know what to do with them. Like some people are like, oh yeah, we've had a roast pork and now we're going to do 10 million different dishes with this piece of pork that's left over,
If I get a leg of lamb, and there's 3 of us living at home now, so I'll roast the leg of lamb, we'll have our roast dinner, and then the next night I'll use the lamb to make it's like a spicy pilaf rice dish. So I'll generally plan that on my meal plan.
Yeah.
If we're having...
Yeah.
So if you just plan ahead.
I know. But I've got the little greedy hog, so just eat it all and just
then there's no problem. There are no leftovers. Put it on your sandwiches.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Yeah, but I think like the fact that people do bake here and they do preserve things, it just speaks to the work-life balance here. In England, I remember people saying, I wish I had time for that. But here, people have more time for that. And it's not that they're working fewer hours a week. There just seems to be a different culture.
Yeah.
towards kind of busyness.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I do. I'm just thinking then, and I just...
We're like, how do they do it? But they just do.
Exactly. We've all got the same amount of hours in the day.
Yeah.
So how come... yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because I was talking to another girl, Jen. She was also called Jen, and I interviewed her, and she's only young, like she's only in her
hairdresser.
30s. Yeah.
She's 27, but yes.
Oh, she's 27. Is she your hairdresser too?
I was listening to your podcast this morning when you were talking to her.
Well, there you go. And did you hear what she was saying? She's like, yes, I bake. That's part of my life. Like, you know, I plan ahead for the week and I bake, you know, do all this home cooking.
And she's really busy.
She is really busy, yeah. So I think it just maybe just comes down to priority or just...
the lifestyle here.
A lifestyle, yeah. We need to get back and talk about lifestyle because... Yeah, it's one of those subjects that when people say, you know, oh, what is it about New Zealand that you love? And you're like, oh, it's just a lifestyle. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I know.
Yeah.
It's annoying when people say that. I hate it when I say it myself because it's like, lifestyle.
What does it mean? Yeah.
I know, it's like,
yeah.
Well, for a start, the pork's better. You know, just all these things that go through your head, but it's easier just to go, oh yeah, the lifestyle.
I think for immigrants, when you're going to uproot your entire life, choose to move to another country and establish a life, you're going to be intentional about how that looks. And I think that plays into it. So immigrants will say, I came here for the lifestyle because they've come here and they've created a life. Whereas if you just stay where you've always stayed, you kind of fall into a rut and you do what's done. Maybe that has something to do with it.
I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, I never looked at it like that, but it is. It's like if you're going to make the effort to move to the other side of the world.
What do you want from it? What do you want your life to look like?
Yeah.
And then you kind of live in a way that you make that happen.
Yes, you do. You do. And you think, well, why can't I just do that at home? Because you can't, because you're in a rut. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's true though, isn't it? You know?
I think people, wherever they live, can be more intentional about how they live. And it's just easy to drift. But maybe it's worth kind of auditing your life now and again and seeing what changes you can make. Because you don't have to move to the other side of the world to change your life.
No, you don't. But it's easier.
Is it though? Is it? Maybe for you.
No. But it's just that I just love that whole... I love change. I love that as much as I'm frightened of change and I don't, you know...
Keeps you alive.
It does.
Yeah.
It keeps you fresh and it's just like, let's do that. And exactly like you say, if you intentionally say, okay, when we move to New Zealand, we'll start going out for walks more. It makes you do it.
Yeah.
You know?
And maybe there's reasons you can't do that where you're currently living, but could you move somewhere in your own country where that would be more possible? Just immigrating is not for everybody, and I know how difficult it is to get in here at the moment.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's not an all or nothing situation.
No, it's not. No. Well done, Jen.
Solved everybody's problem.
Well done for making people feel better. Whereas I
don't think I have.
Yeah, you just have to move to New Zealand if you want a better life. No. Okay. Well, it's just been I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. I know every time, and whenever we want to get together, we're like, what should we talk about? And actually, we could just sit here and just talk about anything.
Forever,
and just. So to round it up then, I'm going to say, I will put my hand up and say New Zealand food is healthy and it is better. And I just, for me personally, that's how I feel.
I know you feel like it's not expensive. I know you keep saying it's not, I feel like it is expensive, but I'm shopping for a special needs diet. But you can eat really tasty, good, healthy food and not spend a fortune.
How much do you spend a week on shopping?
We spend there's 3 of us at home, and we spend around $300 a week, but that includes all our consumables for our Airbnb guest house.
Oh, for your what? Your Airbnb?
Yeah, so the toilet paper and shampoo
and
all the consumables for their coffee, tea, whatever. So
we've got a family of 4 and we spend around about 400 maybe.
And you've got a dog.
That's not including her. She's more expensive than my family. Now she is dairy, grain-free thing, like, you know, and her food cost me a fortune.
Yeah.
Absolute fortune. But again, anyway, that's a different topic. But yeah, she was eating normal dog food and she had this massive rash all over her tummy. We put her on grain-free dog food, as if. But yes.
She's not just being precious, it makes her sick.
Know, it's like, I want to be grain free. You know, just
Don't we all?
Yeah.
She's one of those.
But yeah, that's another interesting topic to talk about, whether food is expensive in New Zealand, because personally, I mean, that is a whole different topic, and I'm going to go now because because bearing in mind, me saying we spend 400, 450, whatever, we drink a lot of wine. Like, you know, we will have wine with our dinner, not a lot, but, you know, a couple of bottles
Be
a night.
honest, Liz.
That includes vodka and gin. It's just like,
Steady on.
So no, I mean, right, we're going to go now because this could just go on forever. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell and the notification thing that comes up, and then the thumbs up, and we will be back with another episode next week. Okay, take care and see you soon.
Daddy, I love him.
Mother thanks you.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello.